Alright, so we're in the Bellagio here, the PodTech BlogHaus.
We got the Scoble.
A haven and a hangout for bloggers. And so what was kind of the impetus or the reasoning behind wanting to put BlogHaus together? Why did PodTech want to do this?
I needed a place to get good bandwidth so I can upload my videos.
Definitely.
And I was like, how do we pay for that?
Nice. Uh-huh.
But no, it sort of came out of last year's CES where Wagner Edstrom had a blog suite over at the Wynn, and I thought that was pretty cool to have a place just to settle down, in the evenings and have a bite to eat and get on Wi-Fi and stuff like that, and get my friends together and have a party and stuff like that. And I know that bloggers at night, most bloggers go over the show floor, do a lot of, reporting or walking around looking at things, and then they want to come back at night and, blog or video blog or podcast. And you need a lot of bandwidth for that kind of activity, and most of the hotels here are optimized for download speed and not for upload speed, and so we knew that we had to get somebody to bring in some really nice internet lines, that weren't just your standard hotel connection that's shared with every other guest in the world. And that sort of was the impetus for it, and
so then you guys
to Seagate, and they thought it was a good idea too.
So how did you justify it to Seagate or get them interested?
Well, it was a package of things that we presented to Seagate, including my show sponsorship and the BlogHaus. They knew it was important because these are influentials. Everybody in this room, anybody who has a blog, automatically is talking to other people. Even if it's a private blog just for family, right? So anybody who has a blog is an influencer, and influencers are valuable to companies because they're the guys who tell everybody around the world about what they saw or what they think or what gadgets you guys are all using. I'm mentally keeping track of what gadgets you guys are using, and I'm going to ask you what you think about it, and that might influence what I say on my blog about it and tell other people, and that turns into sales.
Yeah. So what's the response been? Have you gotten?
Stunningly overwhelming. When we sat down and thought about it, we thought, last year there was the typical evening you would see, 5 to 15 people in their blog suite, and so I thought, well, okay, we're going to get 30 to 40 maybe because there's more bloggers this year than there were last year, but we've had hundreds of people.
We had over 400 registered, at least over 100 show up.
Yeah.
We weren't registered at all.
Yeah.
We've had quite a few people.
And not only that, but not just the bloggers came, but Newsweek came, New York Times came, where we totally, CEOs of companies, CES itself came, and heard about the BlogHaus and wanted to check it out and see what was going on. So it's totally over the top.
So it created a very buzzworthy, press-worthy event.
Absolutely, yeah. Because the bloggers like to have food and have good bandwidth.
I counted last night. I did a video actually on Blip, and there were 5 people videographing at the same time, video blogging. I mean, shows were being created right here. Media was being created here.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how do you feel like the sponsors have responded to it?
They're ecstatic because they got a high number of influentials in one room, and they were able to touch them. I mean, we have one of only 3 Hewlett-Packard AMD machines back here, and we had it out on this table at the minute that Bill Gates announced it on stage, and so all the bloggers got to touch it and play with it, and also the guy who wrote the software was here that night, and they got to interview him and talk to him. So I think this is the way to break product news, and cover events and stuff like that. I mean, I saw that already other places. I was, at Lyft last year, at the Lyft conference in Switzerland. We went skiing with, 15 guys, 10 guys, and one of them showed us a product. He wasn't even planning on doing a product launch, and I put it up on my blog. I put pictures up, and I explained what it was. Within one evening, he had something like 15,000 downloads or signups. You don't need to have a big room or a big suite anymore to really get high reach across the world. With people, because if Engadget walks in here and reports something, Engadget had 15 million page views this week alone. This is not a little boy's game anymore. It's a big media game, and and that's why I got invited on, a presidential candidate's plane last week. That's why I'm getting interviews with Bill Gates and John Chambers, and next week with Jonathan Schwartz. Because they know that by talking to a blogger, you get your message spit out, and you get a conversation that comes back to you that you can interact with. And that's a huge change over 10 years ago. I mean, if you talk to the CNN folks 10 years ago, you would have gotten a message across, but it was probably 2 minutes out of an hour-long conversation, because that's all they have time for. And you would never have the interactivity of being able to talk with people who watch that video and give you feedback on what you just said, and tell you whether your product's lame or not. I mean, here we got a guy with a Segway showing up here. That's the BlogHaus for you. These are people who are early adopters, who like to be influencers, who like to tell other people their experiences with new products or new technologies. I mean, we were just watching the Apple keynote here, and people were interested in that, in knowing the latest stuff so that they could tell their friends and their readership what they thought.
Well, very cool. Yeah, it's exciting. I know it's definitely been the most interesting part of CES for me, is just seeing this whole BlogHaus thing unfold. And I mean, what will be cool to see is how other people maybe try to duplicate something like this more and more at other trade shows. So